So the question now is, how can I inspire people consciously? Because usually what we do and that inspire people is something that we do without even being aware of it. So how can I inspire people consciously? Knowing how to inspire yourself and how to inspire others is perhaps one of the most important things that you have to learn how to do, especially if, for example, you work on your own or you have a team that you have to lead inside an organization or an association, whatever that is. That is very, inspiration is basic because that is the glue that keeps people together. Now, inspiration and motivation are two very different things and must not be confused. To some extent, they're opposite. Not in the feeling that it can project to others and make others feel, but it's in the dynamics that it is very different. Because motivation tends to push, whereas inspiration tends to attract, to pull people. For one thing, for example, how do you motivate people? Okay. You motivate them by telling them, come on, you can do it, especially in sports, okay, where during a game and during the break, during a game where things are not going too well, the coach comes up and tells the team or you as a single person, single athlete, he tells you, come on, you can do it. You gotta believe more in yourself. Do this, don't do that. Believe in what you're doing. Sweat, keep going, whatever happens. Don't ever give up. Okay, well, what's so special about that? The other person is the one who's doing all the work. It's easy to say what a person has to do, but still it works. Because if you trust, in this case, your coach, okay, you will follow him. It will give you that extra energy that you can put, that extra power that you can put into the game. But basically, it comes from another source that is trying to do something for you. So he's pushing you in a certain direction. Inspiration, on the other hand, is just the opposite. That's why I'm saying that, they are two opposite things. Because it attracts, it doesn't tell you a person or anything. It doesn't have to be a person. See, to motivate you, you need a person. To get inspired, you do not need a person. You can be inspired by nature. You can be inspired by a news, by a song, by a quote, by anything, just about anything. It comes to you and you just pick it up because at that moment in your life, you're on the same frequency. So you just pick it up. So that's the difference. And so you can't really get inspired by yourself. You can motivate yourself if you know what your values are, if you know what's important for you in life. Okay, you can find good reason, a motive, right? A motive is a reason to be motivated. But you cannot get inspired by yourself. I mean, if you're down, you're down. And you can only push yourself out of that. You cannot pull yourself out of that. Because in order for you to get pulled, you need something to grab and that can pull you out. And you cannot find it inside yourself. You need something from the outside. That is the main difference. I told you it's a question of dynamics. For example, I remember the time it was late 90s when the Gladiator with Russell Crowe came out, and all that action, that epic music, that the whole thing. I just got out of the theater and I wanted a sword and a horde of barbarians to slaughter. Well, I'm exaggerating, but that's the feeling I had. And it was so intense that it really got me. Of course, I wouldn't have slaughtered anybody. But just to tell you, that movie had inspired me. But it's not the killing of others that inspired me, of course. But, it's the question of justice, the question of determination, the question of self-confidence. That is what inspired me. to be so self-confident and feeling so strong for adhering to my values that I would have been ready to give my life for that. Not for a movie, but you know what I mean. So that is inspiration. Another example is, for example, Forrest Gump. Um, okay, I could speak 5 hours straight about the movie. That's such a great movie, especially for personal growth. And I remember in particular the scene when Forrest Gump's mother, whom he loved very much, apart from Jenny, of course, and his mother died. So he mourned a little, then just like that. He got off the chair and started running. And he started running from one side of the United States to the other. He was close to the Atlantic Ocean. He ran all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And then when he got there, he just ran back. And he did this, I don't remember, 3, 4 times, back and forth from one coast to the other. In the meantime, this grabbed the attention of media. And so they filmed this man, solitary man, doing this thing, crazy thing. And they would even tell people where you could find him every day. You know, it was crazy what happened. And so people saw that on TV, they got inspired. And nobody pushed him. They went up to him and they started running with him. He was leading, of course, and they were a little bit at a certain distance from him, but they were following him. And so a journalist went up to one of these runners and asked this runner, why are you doing this? Why are you running? Why are you going with Forrest Gump? I don't remember. I don't even know if they knew the name of the guy. Anyway, and the guy answered, I don't know. I'm just following him. That is inspiration. That is when you do something that you do not know, but you feel that you have to do it just because you saw him do it. Perhaps it was the craziest thing they saw on earth and they wanted to do something crazy. Or maybe they thought that he had a mission to fulfill. And so they wanted to be part of that mission. Who knows? But they got inspired. So you see how different that is from motivation. It does not push, it pulls, it attracts. And ask yourself this question and why inspiration is so important. Why do you think that the woman or the man that you're living with now, how did that happen? Why did that person choose you instead of somebody else? Why, for example, there are children that respect their parents, especially the father. It's more the father, the inspirational, let's say, usually, it doesn't have to be that way. It's not in genetic, but usually because of the roles, different roles that a man and a woman have in a family, they tend to be inspired by what the father does, especially if the kid is a male, just like his father, of course. And they're inspired by what this man does, how he does it. Whereas other kids just treat their parents like garbage. What's the difference? What makes, for example, a client come to you instead of somebody else, even if you costed more? Or even if your presentation was not as good as your competitor's presentation? Why did they come to you? Okay, this is obviously has to do with inspiration. There is something about people, certain people, that just touch the right buttons inside of you. That's how that inspiration is. That's why you read quotes. That's why you go on YouTube and watch all these fantastic motivational videos. They're called motivational, but in fact, they are inspirational because they're not telling you what you have to do and push you. They just talk to you about people and how they lived and what they did and whatever. And that inspires you. So the question now is, how can I inspire people consciously? Because usually what we do and that inspire people is something that we do without even being aware of it. So how can I inspire people consciously? Well, just keep this in mind. People are very much attracted by what other people do. And in particular, there are 5 things that really turn people on when they see others do it. And that inspires them a lot. So the first thing that you can do, for example, is, one thing that inspires people is the choices of life that you make. Yes, your life choices. Okay, what have you dedicated your life to help people to do something great? It can be scientific, it can be artistic, it can be humanitarian, whatever it is. You have fully committed yourself to follow that road so that people in general, not just yourself, but people in general can really, really benefit from that. The other thing is what you do for people. So it's not just generic, but what you do for people, even in the private. If you're a volunteer, for example, or the way you handle certain situations. Okay, that can be very, very inspiring. Being, for example, very much in touch with your deepest feelings, and you try to somehow uh, uh, share these feelings with others and do it in a way that it's not easy for you, but it creates great benefit to other people. A third thing that inspires people is the values that inspire you and that you are committed to live not only emotionally, but even physically, even out there. So people are inspired by that. Like I said, for example, the Gladiator. For him, justice was very important, and self-confidence was very important. And he was living by those values. And Forrest Gump is different. He didn't know what he was actually doing, which makes it even stronger. He didn't know. He wasn't doing things just because he meant to make an impression on people. He didn't care. He was just doing it because he felt like doing it. And yet he inspired people. Here, you do what he did, but consciously. The fourth thing that people get really attracted by others is the way they face adversities. When something comes down, when the world crumbles on you, what are you going to do? Are you going to cry? Go to mama? Or are you going to pull up your sleeves and face the situation? This is what I'm talking about here. This is the difference. The fifth thing is your integrity. People love seeing other people that stand by what they believe in and they don't compromise. You cannot buy these people. And when we see movies, we hear about people that even went through a very, very hard time just because they had the guts to do what they believed in. That really inspires people. So you have 5 things here that you can do to inspire, and none of them are easy. And in order to do that, you must feel inspired in the first place. So, if you want to do that, if you want to take that road, you have to take it consciously, and you have to understand it's no joke. But the reward, what you get back from that, is enormous. See you next time.